This is the AM show. We serve you the AM news review now. Welcome back. Joining me in the studio, my own in-house guest, Sweetie Abochi. And we'll be getting to our other guests in a bit. Sweetie?
Don't let Benjamin confuse you. I'm not his in-house guest. I'm co-hosting the show with him. I will turn you into my in-house guest, Benjamin Akapu. Be careful with me.
Wow. And, anyway.
Welcome aboard, folks. It's always a pleasure for us to do this. And while we wait for our guests, let's get the conversation going.
Your major story over the weekend?
Of course, Obuasi. That it's when you follow the plot of the story, the way I heard it, it's almost as if these people actually planned to execute this thing. They went with pump action guns and all that, didn't care that there were soldiers stationed to protect this, the deep
mining concession.
And then you actually open fire on soldiers. These men are trained to use lethal force. That's ludicrous. My hair just did that. But you know what I mean, Ben? It takes some bravery, some courage to go to a place and engage soldiers. I don't know what came over these people.
I guess it's the level of impunity. It's also a spillover, if you like, of how we've let illegal miners literally take over. And until we show some action, very stern action, stiff action, people will feel, we can still do these things and get away with them without any consequences. And now some people are dead. I mean, there are varying accounts. If you look in the Ghanaian Times newspaper today, it gives a different account of how many are dead. But the point is, even one person dead is a major issue. We have to cure illegal mining. We have to cure it. The veins, its tentacles are all over the place. If we don't cure it, we'll still have to deal with some of these incidents. I am being charitable to the new administration because let's face it, illegal mining is not something we're going to end in a few days or weeks. It will need concerted effort. We are part of it as media people and even as ordinary citizens. But the point is, we've got to this level of impunity because over a number of years, people have been allowed to do the wrong thing and get away with it. So people still feel emboldened. We have to clip such people's wings to make them realize, no, you do this, there will be dire consequences.
I want to be said, I don't know, call me a prophetess of doom or whatever, but I'm glad, Benjamin, that this happened. Why? Because it opens up the conversation again.
But we're not glad about the deaths.
No, but the circumstances, it gives rise to us to talk again about Galamsey and the effect it has on our water bodies and lives and all that. If this hadn't happened, I almost thought that, Galamsey was sorted. Everybody is just quiet now. Except when MFAP was reading the news, say hashtag stop Galamsey now.
Oh, it is
on. But all these CSOs, people who were waxing lyrical, they wanted the president and some others to sign a treaty of some sort. What's happening? I do see.
Well, I see some of them. I mean, eco-conscious citizens are out there. Daryl Bosu Arosha, from time to time, he'll post something. I mean, let's not get it wrong. The fight is still on, and we still talk about them. But the issue is, I think people feel with a new administration, some room must be given for them to operate. But the point is, this is something that must be tackled head on from day one. Because where this thing is headed, if we don't start dealing with it, I don't want us to fall into another cycle of, let's wait for a while. Before you realize it, you've waited for too long and some actions, which is why I am also very pleased with the president's directive. No nonsense approach. He didn't wait. Once the thing happened, let's go there, investigate the matter. If there are perpetrators, the culprits, let's deal with them on whichever side. You get it? And that bodes well. That should send the right signals that you can't do some of these things and get away with them. So that for me, is
what do you think about,
a good assurance.
President John Dramani Mahame's, I don't want to call it silence yet. I know that it's only been a few days in office, but I'm not hearing him on Galamsey, except on the back of this, asking for quick investigations and all that. I was expecting to see much more action than what we are seeing. First, it was missing in the inaugural speech, and then it's been, I know that they're making appointments and all, Ben, but shouldn't we be getting more than we're getting right now on Galamsey and the fight of it? Because it's still affecting our water bodies.
I agree, but I also disagree. The point being that I think for far too long, there's been mere rhetoric on Galamsey. Rhetoric. Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Even before, when that latest incident took place, and I'm not talking about the Obuasi one, but LI 2462.
Yes.
There was a hue and cry about it. Then President Akufo-Addo would say, oh, we'll do this on LI 2462. It died with the 8th Parliament. LI 2462 is still with us. You get it? It shouldn't be knee-jerk reactions. It shouldn't be saying something for the mere sake of saying something. It should be that, Osia, no wayo, Osia dear yo. And I think the president and his administration, of course, I don't speak for them, I don't think for them, may be being cautious about saying something and maybe not living up to it. Because illegal mining, it's not something you want to pussyfoot about. If you try, you see what has happened in Obuasi, it could happen anywhere. Its tentacles are that deep. But let me also usher in our guests. George Easy, good morning. Pleasure to say. I love your watch.
Yeah, thank you.
Why do you wear it on the right hand? I thought it's...
That's I've been wearing my watch.
That one is for aristocrats. So.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Anybody who wears their watch on the right hand to say they are aristocrats. Sure. Aristocrats are worried.
Hey, Nanaya. Nanaya, you came and your first sentence was fire. Nanaya.
I wanted to say I miss Nanaya.
From the makeup,
I mean,
right.
She never disappoints.
from the makeup.
She started from on the Atata way and she's brought it here. Nanaya Jantuah, thank you for joining us this
my
morning.
favorite.
How are you?
I'm well.
Long time no see.
Yeah, darling, how are you?
Happy New Year.
Haven't seen
So,
the year.
no, we haven't met all year.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's what George has been coming around. So,
Okay.
so let's get into the paper. But we will have to give you some 1 minute maybe each so that we can get into your thoughts for us this
If you could do less, we'd be grateful.
Yeah.
So that we can accelerate on the papers.
yeah.
You always want to.
Should we get to the papers?
Oh, yes, let's go.
George, you agree?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'll take.
Okay.
The Galamsey issue. I agree. Good morning.
But it's in the
Good
papers.
morning to
Yeah.
the viewers. It's in the papers. Yeah, okay. But the prioritization of this government and its commitment to fighting it should be upscaled. You know, I agree with you, Sweetie, that it's not been put on the front burner so far. That and the LGBTQ thing, I think they were critical in the campaign process. And now that they've gotten the power, I think it should be on the front burner so that we tackle it. But it's going to be very difficult because they encouraged it. They encouraged it for political expediency. Now it's facing them in the face. They have the power and they have to deal with it. The Ghanaian people want that issue dealt with. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, well.
But we wish them well.
You see, I said I wouldn't say anything about this one. You see, you cannot.
We wish them well.
No,
We wish
no,
them
no.
well.
Yes, you have to wish them well. You see,
No, it's a topical issue. Let's discuss it.
you
Yes.
get me. I mean, somebody has been in power for 8 years. Somebody just came 13 days. He has not even put
His
a cabinet together. He hasn't put his government together.
There's
nothing like no. So you cannot come condemning the person that they don't have a plan for dealing with Galamsey. That is unfortunate. You have to criticize constructively. That if after a certain while, maybe the 120 days that he's talking, he hasn't even done 20 of the 120. And you are saying 13 days he hasn't looked at Galamsey.
I didn't mention
what he has done now with the issue with Galamsey, going straight into investigating whatever happened, something will definitely come out and we would know which way to go. But you cannot, 13 days. You cannot come criticizing one who has been there 13 days.
Well, I don't think it's more criticism. I don't know if it's you or me, but I don't know if it's criticism. I think it's
not
just, well,
on
maybe
the
George
front
is, but
burner.
for me,
I said it's
think
not
my
on the front
expectations
burner.
were just
No,
high.
but the point is, there's only 13 days.
No, we are talking about the
get me.
statements the president is making. Nothing has been said.
We don't know the plan.
He may have a plan, but
It's even in his resetting,
yes.
120. So let's leave him for the 120 days We have lived with Galamsey for 8 years with people who said that they will put their presidency on the line.
Yes.
And they never did. And we are where we are today. We beg them.
Okay, let's add more context to the conversation about Obuasi and the people who died, the
It's
soldiers and all that.
It's unfortunate. I mean, seriously, when I was coming this morning and I heard it, I didn't expect that to happen. And I believe that we should be more careful than that. I didn't get it very well, that they tried to go into the Anglo-Gold area and they were shot or something like that. So, but there should be some policing around the perimeter.
There were soldiers stationed there, actually.
Yes, then if soldiers were stationed there, why were they shot? The soldiers, you see, I always say that the force, when they are dealing with civilians, they should have a way of dealing with
But these civilians were carrying guns, pump-action guns,
Shooting.
cylinders,
And we've seen statements from the Ghana Armed Forces.
Yes.
I mean, you see, the point too
How did they
is
get the guns?
Question for the gods.
that's-
Nobody knows.
we know of the
Gun.
we know of the proliferation of arms in the
Yes,
country. So
yes.
that is a more, and let's face it, whether it's the, people sometimes think it's not just the Chinese. The Chinese are doing a
it's not
lot.
just the Chinese.
There are Burkinabes, there are Malians, there are Ghanaians, there are so many people in the sub-region. I mean, once you open it up, people will come and engage in these actions. But you can't shoot at the military. You can't. And expect them to sit and watch you. In as much as I will always say that the military ought to have
a mechanism.
Exactly, because they don't operate like the police, which is why we should be careful in involving them. Why are we involving the military in illegal mining? Because things have come to a head. Pimp. So we brought in the military. You open fire on the military, that's a different story altogether. And I think this reveals one crucial point before I come to you. You know, always, like in the South African incident, sometimes abandoned mines, sometimes mines that are still active. I think we ought to police those areas. I don't want to say maybe militarize those areas more. Because this is, have you realized over the last 3-4 years, we've had quite a number of incidents where people have attacked legal concessions, major miners. This has to stop.
George.
So, but is that illegal? I mean, that one borders more on if somebody wants to steal, because why do you go into a concession that belongs to another person? And I mean, a very formalized one like Anglo-Gold. I mean, I just want to find out. And who, you see, I always say that, man, the issue is who is behind these young ones. That is, we should get to the bottom of it. Because till we do that, we cannot get anywhere. Look, before I land, during the campaign, I went around the prisons to do some work. And sweetie, it is sad. The ages of the people in the prisons, 18 to 25, in there. So who is behind all this crime? You see, we need to really have a look and do an investigation thorough. Because if you don't get to the bottom of it, people will die. We will fight. But they will still go there because somebody is asking them, helping them, moving them to do that. Look, I went to the market and I saw a 13-year-old porter. And now I've heard there's a cartel. Yes, they bring them from the north, they work for them. And my heart just broke. I mean, the money, I stopped marketing because I gave everything to her.
Oh.
Yes. 13-year-old, that is how our social fabric has degenerated. 13-year-old. And the market women told me even they are 8-year-olds. And it is being run by cartel.
No, let me not take the wind out of your still, but we
Just
briefly,
Yes,
so that we can get into it.
yes. These issues, we cannot take away with the politicians our involvement in these young people.
I was trying to be diplomatic. It's good you are bringing it up.
tell yourself.
You get it. Because of some of the things. And you, the media people, because there's a video circulated, a senior media person encouraging the young people in Obuasi to go there, take over. This takeover thing that is happening. You get it? I mean, what is it? I'm a politician. I'm a political appointee somewhere. I know definitely there's going to be official appointments and I have to hand over. You get it? And so if you invade that place, that's a different. But a private AGO is about, I think, 90% or so private. You get it, AG. So it's wrong for anybody to encourage individuals to invade a private enclave, a mining enclave, like going to take over. And then you go with the brazen bravado, with pump action, that you're going to take over the place and you shoot at the soldiers. It's wrong.
But Nanaya asked an interesting question.
Anyway,
and we should get to the bottom of some of those. According to the military statement, they had locally manufactured rifles, pump action guns, gas cylinders, knives, heavy-duty industrial bolt cutters, of course, what they would use to make the breach, axes and machetes. These are not things that the people just come across. Someone sponsored this. Someone facilitated it.
Some of them can come together and buy it.
I know that.
Always any big person that is behind it.
I know that they have a lot of resources at their disposal. Do you remember that incident of one person saying that in one day he made enough to buy a plethora of buses and all that? I get that. But before they got to this point, there were people with clout behind them. And this is what it has led to.
And they themselves too have built themselves up. You get it. And so let's talk to these people and then find the alternative. The last one, my brother and sister, is the same Obuasi. It's not where individual NDC guys, stopped certain soldiers who were wielding guns. That day they didn't react.
Individual.
You get it. They didn't react on the election. Election day. 2 military young guys armed, and they were not ready to do anything. I was happy for that. Otherwise, we're going to record.
Those people do it, not
so
military.
we need to talk to the young people, especially in the mining enclave. Tony Obi, your people are in now. The responsibility and the onus is on you.
What has he done?
To get your people to, allow you to do what you need to.
But Tony has
why? Please, why is he mentioning? Tony is not here. Why are you mentioning his name?
Okay.
No, but why are you mentioning
those who were going to the mining site?
No,
it's technically unfair to mention. He has no control.
And he's not here. So why are you mentioning him? What has he done?
He's a mining guru.
No, he hasn't done anything. He's not in control. Please let him withdraw.
I said they should talk to their people.
But I've already said that. It's unfair. He has no locus.
Why should you mention his name like that?
He's the guru in there.
Guru in where?
In the NDC. When it comes to mining,
I am saying that
the guru.
He's not anything.
This pairing is interesting.
I'm not indicting.
Fire for fire. Let's get into our paper.
Have you heard what?
Are you here to defend everything?
Well, he's saying that, yes. So the Ghanaian publisher carried the story. So President Akufo-Addo gives, former president gives thanks. And the quote says, I did my best for Ghana. And this is the Ghanaian publisher. I want to read that story.
He says he's at peace. He started with... I don't know, though, whether Ghanaians are at peace with him, but...
So for the benefit of our audience, let me get into the story. Gentlemen, hold for me. So former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has described the consolidation of democratic values in Ghana and his peaceful transition of power as two key achievements of his presidency that fill him with pride. I want to skip to a quote where he said, quote, one is that the democratic values to whose sustenance I have devoted my life now appear to have taken deep roots in the body politic of our country. And I say amen to that. The second is that I came in peace and I have left in peace. So basically, he says he did his best for Ghana. Let me add two more stories quickly before I come to you. EC appeals for security to complete Ablekuma North collation. I think this is... Anyway, I'll come to you in a bit, gentlemen. And CDD boss chairs Mohammed's Constitutional Review Committee. President John Dramani Mahama has established a constitution review. We all saw it. And the people who've been tasked to, address the gaps address the gaps in the 1992 Constitution in a bold step towards enhancing Ghana's democratic governance. Some of the names that came up, people were asking, why are you keeping her there? But gentlemen, Benjamin, you're smiling because you know what I'm talking about.
Let me just say this. The bit about Nana Addo saying that he did his best for Ghana, though, my only comment is that the last election was a referendum, a verdict on whether he had done his best for Ghana.
I would say let Ghanaians judge for themselves.
That's all I would say.
Nanaya, so first the president and then...
He said he's in peace with himself, right?
Yes.
After that one day, it's okay if you say that is himself. But how can he thank God when he didn't build the cathedral? You go and you thank God, and the cathedral is sitting there, you spend money on it, you didn't build God's house. How can you be at peace when you did not build God's house that you promised that you built? $58 million gone down the drain with no sign of a structure. And you can be at peace with yourself and with God. God will always ask him this question.
Sometimes we have plans that don't always mature.
Not with God.
Yes, sometimes.
No. But if you have plans, there's a difference between plans and there's a difference between bringing out money to execute that plan.
Right.
Because $10 million could build a cathedral. No. Most cathedrals, yes. Look at Duncan Williams' cathedral. How much did he use to build?
How much?
How much? It's not much. It wouldn't be more, even in those days.
Do you know for sure?
I am telling you, can use $10 million. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said that in Nigeria, the Economica, they use $30 million. For Nigeria is almost 200 million people. Maybe, let's say, granted, we don't have the statistics, 50% Christian. That is 100 million. Lagos is Ghana. Lagos is 32 million people. The whole of Ghana is Lagos. That's why a Chinese man said that he can fit everybody in Accra. Do you get me?
Right.
So I am saying that if he's at peace with himself, he knows, but he shouldn't bring God in it.
Hey.
Yes, because
But
God
you know, that's what I'm saying, though. That's between salvation is individual.
This
it's
is
between
not,
him and
please,
God. You cannot say that he shouldn't bring God into it.
No, please, this is not salvation.
Right.
It's a covenant. You promise God something, you do it.
But that's my point. It's between him and God.
No, so he
right?
shouldn't come and tell us that he's telling everybody. Once he tells us, we will then question him.
Okay.
And number two, he said he left Ghana in a good state.
Yes, he came in peace, he left in peace.
You see what happened to Bawumia? It was a vote against Nana-Addo. It was a vote against Nana-Addo's government. The Ghanaians didn't want to know him again, forever and ever.
I'm sure of that.
Yes, I am sure. I mean, what are you talking about? This has never happened anywhere.
Okay.
Everything that they told that he told us, he didn't do it. He has his own, and as always, he has his own scorecard.
All right. Let me pass the baton.
But you know what he's going to say.
George.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy the former president, Nana Akufo-Addo, says he's a peace. He's a consummate Democrat. People were saying
have to speak big English, consummate. That's all.
I'm an aristocrat.
Let's listen.
I'm an aristocrat. What do you expect of an aristocrat?
Aristocrats are worried.
Yeah. Thank you, Sweetie.
Yeah.
You see, that is it. In the Bible, David sought to build a temple for God. That was his wish. Okay? God said, no, David.
Look at me misquote the Bible.
David, hold on. And he went on because he was passionate to get that for God. Then he asked God, can I get some of the materials for the temple? God gave him the go-ahead. But he said, your son, Solomon, will build.
So where is the materials? Now, is that the materials?
Look.
Don't misquote the Bible.
About $58 million in cool. How much is it? The architectural design. How much is it? Okay. The initial thing. Then they talk about a hole was dug and all that. Let me finish. If you are putting up,
I'm passionate about God's things, so
dig a foundation.
Are we back here again?
But since you're quoting the Bible,
yes.
just a brief interjection.
Go ahead.
In the same Bible, it says, it is only a fool who starts putting up an edifice, building a tower, putting up a building, without counting the cost properly, so that he starts, and in the end, he is unable to finish. Are you familiar with that part of the Bible as well?
You have quoted.
What I simply want to add is $58 million.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you tell me about, I keep saying my father did this work, so I know a little something about architectural design. People on the project, Ribaldi and everything. We even had someone who was supposed to secure funding for the project.
Yes.
All of that, and this is what we see, George.
No, it was...
After $58 million, this is what we see.
No. We stopped the process. The government, when we got to the difficult times, it was imprudent to have continued putting up the cathedral, okay, when things were economically difficult in the country. And so we put a stop to that. Okay? And if you put a stop to a process, definitely there's going to be challenges, especially when you've dug holes. Okay? So these are matters that we, and I'm happy to tell you the fact that the current president saw the need to continue the process, albeit he is saying he's going to change the location. I disagree with that, because I think when you are giving God something, you must use your best. In the sacrifice between Abel and Cain.
The current location is the best. All right, let's do some. Let's do. We're not contesting
so you
that.
choose a prime area.
Let's do the major.
And some of the cathedrals used over 800 years to build across the world.
Thank you.
So let's get that history. And so, God, I'm happy.
Though let's face it, the promise was not that. The promise was that you would conclude. The putting up of this edifice. Let's not forget.
Man proposes, even His Excellency Bawumia said that he will build this before the elections. And what happened?
Oh, how?
You said it.
But guys, this is curious. Right before you get it, Nadia, hold for me. George AC is saying, man proposes, God disposes. If this was God's project, will he dispose of it?
No, he won't dispose.
Let's go ahead. No, it's fine. Let's get into other papers.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's get into other papers.
George, it's okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. And I do the Daily Searchlight, the Custodian. That paper, I'm not sure.
This one. You want us to look at this?
The Searchlight.
Okay. CUC outraged by attacks on state institutions and workers. That one we've been talking about it. Bloody mayhem at Obwa. Okay, that one too we've spoken about it. Give traditional rulers more power. Niavi tells government. Yes, I also agree. But what kind of power are we going to give to them? We need to find out where we posit them within the governance structure. Yes, so it's important. I mean, they already have power at the level of the traditional area. So
I see JDM starts.
That's taking gifts. What gift is that? Oh, the brother's plane. Is that a gift? Or
maybe you can read a bit. So
I've seen Jao is the same. I've seen Jata here.
Yes.
Hey, so if somebody has a brother too, he cannot say, hey.
Can we get some details on this?
Apparently, President John Dramani Mahama has been taking gifts from his brother in the form of trips on the brother's jet. Ooh. The brother in question is Ibrahim Mahama, whose company Jata Cement owns a private jet. It's now turning out that since he was sworn in as president, Mr. Mahama has been using the gift from his brother on official trips. Okay. Former president, it's the same thing, former president.
Right.
But if somebody...
So let's face it, these are sometimes the beef we have with some of our brothers and sisters on in the print media. Sensational headlines that but the real story I saw over the weekend, people, tweeting and all of that, why is the current president not using the official airline for the presidency, which the Nado administration brought to bear? A lot of people, Okudzeto Ablakwa, had been talking about the former president's jet flying and all that. But the dynamics, from what I heard, the response I have got is that the presidential jet, of course, it has to go through certain processes. And there's a unit of the military that must give clearance, the same way the president hasn't moved into whether it's the Jubilee House or the Flagstaff House. So, you see, the politicking has started very early. People are allowed to do that. But when you look on the face of things, objectively, this is nothing really.
This is nothing really. So you
talk about
aviation
because
what is
it? All they are saying is that the security clearance hasn't been given. There's an outfit in the military that must give it. A president doesn't just take over
waste your time
and go
talking about this
a new jet. He's using his brother's jet, and it has been confirmed that the fueling and all that is not at the expense.
But Ibrahim has been using this jet. So what
news? George, the custodian.
It's news for me.
Yes. And then after
I
that,
want to talk about the. Or we'll come back again.
No, go ahead.
The constitutional
please hold
review.
for Nadia.
Or we'll come back again.
No, go ahead.
I look at the list of the Constitutional Review Commission and their terms of reference. They are even referring to looking at the old reviews that have been done. So I was surprised that Dr. Raymond Atuguba wasn't there.
Professor.
Professor.
Raymond
Atuguba was in there as one of the people. And an astute lawyer like Chikata.
Okay.
Doctor, is he a doctor or lawyer, Chikata?
No,
he's not. And his brother, Free, a very intelligent lawyer. I expected to see such names in the team. But these are people that are great lawyers in this country, and everybody knows. And it's even possible that because of their age and the way they worked with Rawlings, they could give us a background into some of the reasons why some clauses were put in the Constitution. As we go into a review, I believe there is the need for us to know the thinking behind, or even, because we talk about it and we all talk about it, but sometimes you go back and you think through and you say that, is this what it is? But I would want them to look at a certain trajectory of the legislature and the executive, and that we need to really dichotomize the two and not put them together. Because sometimes then the president, who is the executive, would want to think that he has an oversight over parliament. So I think parliamentarians should be parliamentarians and ministers of state should be ministers of state.
So we're on the same page on that one. I agree there should be a separation so that you
because the Westminster system, the prime minister comes from parliament. So with that one, I mean, that is what it is. But this one, the president doesn't come from parliament. I think we are doing a hybrid.
Yes.
But we need to find a way to make it clear and also resource parliament good enough so that there's no interest elsewhere. Because before I finish, I was saying that a parliamentarian goes to parliament, closes at 1 p.m. and comes to his ministry and ends what? Work ends at 5 p.m. Do you get me? So I think we have to look, but the most important thing is that going forward, we need to have a consistent and lubricated source of funding for Parliament.
Okay. George?
Yeah, thank you. The first one is the presidential jet issue. We had said this. The former president went to the United States, and upon takeoff, they realized a challenge and then came back. And we said there's a problem with the jets. Akufo-Addo and co wouldn't allow that. You get it? And you pestered and pestered. And you know, the number one citizen which is captured in the constitution of the land is the president.
The jet has not
And
been
his
bought.
safety,
Please allow George.
is paramount to all of us. His safety is paramount. So I am all for the Ghana Armed Forces to give the assurance that the presidential jet is fit for purpose before His Excellency John Dramani Mahama can use it. I agree with that, okay? So, but I do not disagree with the people who are bringing it up because you made it a case.
But George, you see, context always matters. When Akufo-Addo Ablakwa brought it up, the claim was that the already existing presidential jet was fit for purpose. This one is being investigated, whether it is indeed fit for purpose. And of course, I'm sure some things like whether it has been bugged and all of that would also be in the mix.
So,
but then people were talking about the cost of this. It was at a cost to us, taxpayers.
What was
we're paying several tens of thousands of dollars for every trip.
Yes.
And I just mentioned to you, because that's the bottom line.
Yes.
People are asking this, he's already costing because fueling and all of that. And the presidency has come out to say that this is not, it's like a freebie from his brother. If his brother wants to give a freebie to him, how is that an issue?
That is what is even worrying.
Why?
That if his brother did not have these jets, how was the president going to be flying? And two, what, you see, the devil is in the details. They've now taken office.
I don't mind wanting to go into the details. That's good.
Brother did some job for us, dredging of the Addo. What happened thereafter?
What happened?
Were there costs to it?
What happened?
They were free.
You tell us what happened.
But these are two different issues.
As far as I know...
No, it's the same person. Okay.
Yeah, but the person in question.
I am not.
And what they're doing with
the issue. I'm just.
You see, Ben said I shouldn't talk, but listen to what he's saying.
Hold for him. Let him make
Yeah, because the two are not. Listen, he's comparing apples to oranges.
No, I'm
Nanaya,
not comparing
please.
any apple to.
So you wrap on
you
that.
get it. Thank you.
Wrap on
I'm
that.
not comparing any apple to any oranges, okay? So that is the matter. We'll get, with time, we're going to get into the details of the matter. How free was the free jet and co? Because it's going to be part of state accountability.
You know, in this jurisdiction, even when it comes to murder, you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
So until you get contrary evidence,
I'm not too comfortable.
But
make your final point. You wanted to say something.
Yes,
final point.
On the committee, Constitutional Review Committee, that's okay. We need. There's a lawyer leading it, but compared to the lawyers she mentioned, he's a junior lawyer, you know, Professor Akufo-Addo, you know. He is actually an accountant, a professor in accounting, and then the law is...
I think I should make a quick point here.
He's leading the chairman.
Nanaya, the lawyers you've mentioned and everything else. Professor Tuguba, for example, you know the 2010 Constitution? He was a member.
A member, yes.
And maybe, I mean, with all of these people having served, look, I've had personal interactions with him and some things I can't, but all I will say is that some of them may not necessarily want to, because over the years, they have been pushing certain things and the committee to activate and the white paper. Indeed. So I think whatever it takes, for me, the bottom line is how do we activate the relevant bits? It's not so much about who is.
George,
conclude on that.
I agree with the position you take that Parliament should be separate from the executive.
Yes.
Liberia, that's what they do. And Parliament is elevated over and above ministerial position. That, you see, when you go it that way, the member of Parliament is higher than the minister.
You put them at a certain level,
yes. And what
they take, resource them.
That's the issue we're talking. What they take is enough to be able to make them function as members of Parliament and reps in their constituencies. You get it? So that is the way we need to move. This hybrid, we've tested it for 32 years, and I don't think
Parliament should be independent.
So that it can have that oversight
over the executive.
All right, point
when Markey was going to
time is not on our side.
And people were making, disagreeing. And but if Parliament were independent of the executive, then they can make their own destiny. So I think the committee, I wish them well. One thing that I know, I pray they don't touch, is the possibility of tenure. And I know some people, it's an entrenched clause, so it will come for referendum. But I pray they don't even...
I don't think they would say.
All right, let's do some other papers.
George,
you have the custodian. Ben, do you have Daily Graphic?
I do, in fact. And
George, just hold.
I was responding to an interesting... But anyway, Daily Graphic, President Mahama asks Asante Hene to help address economic woes. Constitutional Review Committee formed experts to present recommendations in 5 months. Of course, the chair there, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh. I believe we've already touched on this, so I'll not belabor the point. Declare assets before taking office. Shraj charges public officers in new government. And this is something else that we have to really, because, and here's something.
And who are public officers?
I usually have a problem with it because it ends at often assets. But liabilities are a huge deal. Someone could take office and owe a debt of 1 million Ghana cedis or $1 million to a bank. If those are not declared, the person can engage in stealing and you will still think, but my assets have not increased. But the person is using it to pay for his or her loan. So assets and liabilities.
But Ben, if you are employed, you are paid a salary. The salary goes through your bank, right? Or maybe you get a new bank.
Well, if you know what I'm talking about, it's not necessarily salaries and where they pass. Let me just pick a little
They should tell us.
People have 3 different accounts.
The wives that the men should tell us. How many wives do they have? So that's
how did it end up here? Anyway, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice has urged public officers of the new government members. Hello, please. Members of the Ninth Parliament. I did. I will not get.
I know what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
You know,
and all public officers to take immediate steps to apprise themselves of the code of conduct for public officers and declare their assets in accordance with law before taking office. I don't think we have enough time to get into all
But who is the
that.
public officer?
I'm sure the Constitution has certain delineations, and we may add certain ones based on what we all agree.
Because civil servants, everybody is a public officer, so who is a public officer?
I think that's
legislate.
one office holders. Yeah.
We have to go, so I have to do this.
Oh,
legislate
my
organ harvesting to save lives. Kutoche says so. A business executive has called for legislation to harvest healthy kidneys of persons declared dead by medical practitioners at hospitals to aid a kidney transplant system. This is a very interesting story. And I think especially with where
Parliament is working on
kidney disease, chronic kidney disease, and you know, treatment have got to, we ought to explore that. The BNFT, network challenges erode gains made by Ghana's electronic medical record system. Policy rate is a hike needed to restore restrictive conditions. That's an interesting one. And startup bill key to Notion emerging as tech hub. Anti-LGBT bill, controversy peaks. I don't have time to get into the stories, but if you have any quick reactions, we can get into them and we go. George, you want to get into something?
Let's get into it.
Should
You
they-
wanted to? No, yours.
Oh, yes.
You can get into yours.
Yes, okay. Yeah, mine, I wanted to talk about Mahama Sachs retirees. And the second one is the young people that have been appointed as CEOs. I'm excited about them. Maybe because two friends of mine have been appointed, lawyer Edwiji Tamako and my brother and best man, Edward Bauer.
Oh, okay.
Former Bongo MP, going to GMC.
I worked with him when I was at PRC. Very hardworking. Yes, nice guy.
And
Where are you both going anyway? Nana, where are you going?
Me, I don't know.
Are you going somewhere, Nana?
I don't
Do you
know.
know for sure?
I don't know for sure.
Right.
I'm here.
Well, she will go back to
All right.
Why you want me to go
Just
back
the
to
headlines from the Ghanaian Times. Bloody, 15 people dead, houses torched in Obuasi and Kwanta clashes. We already did that. But I think this is the end of the news review because we don't have time. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, don't worry. Next time we extend
Well, time has run out.
You have to extend your time.
What was that like? Like Afenyo Martin
Those who
said,
joined us.
time no yebu no thoughts.
George AC is former director for NADMO, communications director for NADMO, and Yaa Jantuah is former General Secretary of the CPP, and she was also with the PRC as director.
Director.
And I still love George AC's watch. I love it.
Stay because sports comes up next, and Mutan Abil Abdullah serves you in sports.
Sweetie says you.